Good afternoon. We are going to present the evidence tree of the subject Human Body Care. Our team is made up by Eunice Gutierrez, Juan Zamora, Diego Perez, and me, Gabriel Lopez.
The male reproductive system is composed of various organs. Today we'll be reviewing said organs in an order of functions, starting with the reproductive tract, which starts with the testes that produce sperm and testosterone, continues to the epidermis, which carries and stores sperm. It is also responsible for the maturation of sperm. Then the sperm that is in the epidermis goes to the vas deferens that transport the mature sperm into the urethra. Then the vas deferens connect into the ejaculatory ducts that empty sperm into the urethra until finally reaching the urethra that it transports semen and in other occasions urine all the way from the bladder into the head of the penis. Continuing with this explanation of processes and parts of the male reproductive system, we get to the male external genitalia, which is composed of the testicles, as mentioned before. They are oval organs about the size of olives that are located inside the scrotum, which they're secured by either end by the spermatocord, which means they are like hanging from it. Then there's the scrotum, which is a loose like skin pouch sac, which protects the testes. And finally, for this part, it's the penis, the male organ for sexual intercourse, and it is divided into three parts: the root, which is attached to the base of the abdomen; the body or shaft, which is the body of the penis, and it's made of three internal glands that expand with blood during arousal; and the glans, which is the head of the penis, and it's where both urine and semen both come out. To finally end this explanation, we are going to talk about the organs that contribute to the production of seminal fluid, which are the seminal vesicles. They sit close behind the bladder, connecting the vas deferens, forming the ejaculatory ducts. The vesicles produce a white brownish liquid containing sugar and other substances that make up 2/3 of the semen value, which just means as the seminal vesicles are basically what gives a semen or seminal fluid in this case. It's kind of its volume, its thickness, you could say. Then, after going through the seminal vesicles, comes the prostate, which contains the ejaculatory duct, connects the ejaculatory ducts and the prostatic urethra. When semen enters the urethra, it secretes enzymes, deactivated sperms. This means that the sperms inside the seminal fluid start to become alive in a way, you could say. And finally, ending with the bulbourethral glands, piece-size, with single ducts that connect the urethra where it emerges to the prostate. The mucus, which helps with sperm mobility. The bulbourethral glands and the prostate act around the same part of the seminal fluid production, in which at the same time the prostate activates the sperm, the bulbourethral glands add mucus to it, so it is easier for it to come out of the penis and end reproduction when arousal is active in the person.
The hypothalamus ultimately controls the functions of the testes because it secretes a hormone called gonadotropin-releasing hormone, or GnRH, that stimulates the anterior pituitary gland to secrete the gonadotropic hormones that control the testes. The gonadotrophic hormones are follicle-stimulating hormone FSH and luteinizing hormone LH, and they are found in both males and in females. In males, FSH promotes the production of sperm in the seminiferous tubules, and LH promotes the production of testosterone by the interstitial cells. All these hormones are controlled by negative feedback mechanisms, which maintain the production of sperm and testosterone within normal ranges. Testosterone is the main sex hormone in males, and is essential for the normal development and functioning of the male sex organs. Testosterone also causes and maintains the male secondary sex characteristics that develop at puberty. Males are usually taller than females and have broader shoulders and longer legs relative to trunk length. They also develop a larger larynx with longer vocal cords than females do, resulting in a deeper voice and a more prominent Adam's apple. Testosterone causes males to develop hair on the face and chest, and sometimes on the back. It can also lead to the receding hairline and pattern baldness that occurs in aging males.
The female reproductive system. As we can see here, the female genital tract consists of the oviducts, the uterus, and the vagina, which functions are: the vagina provides a passageway for blood and mucosal tissue from the uterus during a woman's monthly period, receives the penis during sexual intercourse, and holds the sperm until they pass into the uterus, provides a passageway for childbirth. The main function of the uterus is to nourish the developing fetus prior to birth. The ovaries produce eggs and hormones. The uterine tubes transport the fertilized eggs onto the uterus for implantation, and they transport the ova from the ovary to the uterus each month. Ovaries' functions are to produce the oocytes or eggs in a process called oogenesis. One egg is usually produced per month in one of the ovaries and then released into the oviduct in a process called ovulation. Fertilization and implantation. During fertilization, the sperm and egg unite in one of the fallopian tubes to form a zygote. Then the zygote travels down to the fallopian tube where it becomes a morula. Once it reaches the uterus, the morula becomes a blastocyst. The blastocyst then burrows into the uterine lining, a process called implantation. Now we're going to see the external female genital, also known as the vulva, which includes the labia majora, the labia minora, the gland clitoris, and a cleft with the openings of the urethra and the vagina, which functions are: the labia majora enclose and protect the other external reproductive organs. The labia minora functions as a protective structure that surrounds the clitoris, urinary orifice, and the vaginal orifice. Clitoris has no function in the reproduction but is the main pleasure center for females during sex. The cleft between the labia minora contains the opening of the urethra and the vagina, which is partially closed by the tissue called the hymen, which is ruptured by sexual intercourse or some other physical means.
The ovarian and uterine cycles and the hormonal changes that regulate them are known as the female reproductive cycle. GnRH, gonadotropin-releasing hormone, controls the cycles by stimulating FSH, follicle-stimulating hormone, and LH, luteinizing hormone, from the anterior pituitary gland. The duration of the female reproductive cycle typically ranges from 24 to 34 days. For the sake of discussion, we will describe a 28-day cycle. It is important to remember that hormones secreted from the hypothalamus, the anterior pituitary gland, and the ovaries control the main events of the cycles. The ovarian cycle is divided into three parts: the follicular phase, ovulation, and the luteal phase. During the follicular phase, FSH released by the anterior pituitary gland stimulates the development of a follicle in one of the ovaries. As the follicle matures, oogenesis is initiated and continues, and the epithelial cells of the follicle multiply and secrete the female sex hormones, mainly estrogen. As estrogen levels rise, negative feedback stops the secretion of FSH, so that the follicular phase comes to an end. The estrogen spike causes the secretion of GnRH from the hypothalamus, which in turn causes a surge of LH from the anterior pituitary gland, resulting in ovulation on about day 14 of a 28-day cycle. Ovulation is the release of the secondary oocyte from the follicle and into the oviduct. After ovulation, the luteal phase begins. During the luteal phase, LH promotes the development of the corpus luteum, which consists of the follicle cells left behind after ovulation. The corpus luteum secretes female sex hormones, mainly progesterone. Now that we finish with the ovarian cycle, it is important to know also about the uterine cycle. The female hormones estrogen and progesterone produced by the ovaries during the ovarian cycle affect the endometrium, causing the uterus to undergo the cyclic changes known as the uterine cycle. The uterine cycle can be divided into three parts: menstruation, the proliferative phase, and the secretory phase. Menstruation lasts from day 1 to about day 5 and consists of the breakdown of the endometrium with blood passing out of the vagina. The low levels of the female sex hormones cause menstruation to occur. The proliferative phase is from day 6 to 13 and consists of the buildup of the endometrium, which becomes more vascular and glandular. The proliferative phase is caused by the increased production of estrogen by the new developing follicle. The secretory phase is from day 15 to 28 and consists of the endometrium doubling or tripling in thickness and uterine glands producing a thick mucus secretion. The secretion of progesterone by the corpus luteum causes the secretory phase. The endometrium is now prepared to receive a developing embryo. If fertilization and implantation do not occur, the corpus luteum will degenerate, resulting in lower levels of the sex hormones that will lead to the breakdown of endometrium and menstruation. So, to know more about the relationship between the ovarian cycle and the uterine cycle, it is important to remember that the ovarian cycle includes a series of events that occur during and after the maturation of an oocyte. The uterine cycle involves a series of changes in the endometrium of the uterus to prepare it for the arrival of a fertilized egg that will develop there until birth. The hormones secreted from the ovaries during the ovarian cycle control the events of the uterine cycle. So that is the relationship.
Birth control methods are used to regulate the number of children a couple will have. In the first image, we have the sterilization in males. In males is vasectomy, in which part of each was difference is removed. Even though sperm production contains in the testes, sperm can no longer reach the exterior. Vasectomy is an effective method of contraception, but it will not protect you and your partner against sexually transmitted infections such as chlamydia or HIV, etc. And the second image represents in females, sterilization is done by a tubal ligation in which both oviducts are tied off and then cut, resulting in the secondary oocyte became unable to pass through the oviducts and sperm can reach the oocyte. Next, I will explain the most effective contraceptive methods but that have the risk. First, an intrauterine device or IUD is a small object, plastic, copper, or stainless steel that is inserted into the uterus by a physician. The IUD causes a change in the endometrium that prevents the implantation of fertilized egg. Some women can use intrauterine device because of discomfort, expulsion, or bleeding. Oral contraceptives contains various mixtures of estроgens and progestins, chemicals similar in acting the progesterone. They prevent pregnancy mainly by negative feedback in inhibition of FSH and LH. Common side effects of oral contraceptives include breakthrough, spotting, nausea, brow tenderness, head, head, head ashes, and migraines, weight gain, etc. The condom is a non-porous latex covering place over an erector penis that prevent sperm from reaching the female reproductive tract. The female condom consists of two flexible rings connected by a polyurethane sheath. The female condom should not be used at the same time as the male. They can stick together, which could cause one of them to break. The, contracept- the contraceptive patch or transdermal patch is a safe and practical method of contraception that works very well as long as you make sure to use it correctly. The patch is put on some parts of your body where it releases hormones that are absorbed through the skin to prevent pregnancy. The patch also has many other health benefits. Side effects of the birth control patch could include increased risk of blood contact problems, heart attack, etc. The vaginal ring is a clear and flexible polyethylene vinyl acid ring that, once placed in the vagina, slowly releases the hormones progestin and estrogen into your body to prevent the ovaries from releasing eggs. It also makes the cervical mucus thicker, preventing sperm from reaching the ovum. Some of the possible side effects include light blending or breakthrough spotting, vaginal irritation or infection, increased vaginal discharge, etc. A birth control implant is a flexible match-style plastic rod that is placed under the skin in the upper arm. It relays a low, regular dose of progesterone hormone that thickens the lining of the cervix and thin the lining of the uterus endometrium. Side effects associated with birth control implants include the following: back or abdominal pain, increased risk of developing non-cancerous ovarian sites. Finally, I will explain to you which are the contraceptive methods with the less effects. One of them is the spermicides that are chemicals that contain sperm killing agents and come in foam, creams, jellies, suppositories, and doses. They make the vagina and the cervix unfavorable for the survival of sperm. Non-xynol 9 is the most commonly used spermicide. Withdrawal is a contraceptive method in which the penis is removed from the vagina before the ejaculation. The method of the stopping intercourse is not a particular effective method of contraception. Sperm can enter the vagina if the interruption of intercourse is not done in time, or if the precum contains sperm. The intercourse interruption method doesn't offer protection against sexually transmitted infections. Sexually transmitted infections. STDs, also called sexually transmitted infection, are infections that spread from one person to another through sexual contact. STDs can be expressed through vagina, oral, or anal sex, as well as through skin to skin contact with an infected arm or sore. STDs are a serious health problem that, when left untreated, can result in infertility and even death. Risk factor of STDs: starting sexual activity at an early age, having multiple sex partners, and having unprotected sex.